Hey everyone, this is your logical libertarian here. So, I wanted to go over real briefly. I wanted to comment on the lawsuit that's going on with the women's national team against the United States Soccer Federation regarding equal pay. Now, a lot of people are saying that, um, you know, it's equal pay for equal play, and they're making a lot of comparisons, and most of it's about pay. There's a few other issues that have come up that are very fair. I want to go over real quick, and I'm going to give a few bits of information. I tried to find some information on this, but when trying to look up the financial information for how much revenue the men's team brings in, it's pretty difficult. I found one financial report, but the financial report didn't really break it down. At least I didn't see the breakdowns as well as it could. So there's not really any way for me at this time to really find what I need. That said, I'm still going to give a discussion about this and kind of give you an idea of where I feel about it, or where, depending on what the facts might be, where I would say they're justified or they're not. So, let's go over. We'll look right here. It should be showing. So, this is the page. It's the New York Times. It gives us the actual thing. So, the first thing that they are going over is the actual pay. That's the main argument is, well, we didn't get equal pay. They brought up, well, in this year we won the World Cup, or we went to the World Cup and we did really well. We had a few games where we did really well and the men's team didn't. So they're talking about performance. And I understand that to a certain point. You should definitely be able to argue for a pay raise for performance or a bonus. Now, does that mean you should get a pay raise for comparable or higher than the men's team? Not necessarily. You're not competing against the men's team. You are just playing the women's side. So going to the Olympics and doing well or anything else, it's kind of rough there. And usually a lot of times it shows in this document, you can see, it's about 1/3 to, almost, less than half, just over 1/3, roughly what they make compared to the men's team on average. So that's where the question would be: does the men's team bring in, anywhere from 2 to 3 times the amount of revenue for for their games, for everything being played, for the ticket sales, and for the merchandising. And to be honest, there's a lot more MNT, men's national team players, I think, that are more popular among the general public, and I've pretty much noticed that a lot of times men are just, it just seems men are more into men's soccer, and more people are into men's soccer than women's soccer. Nothing against women's sports, not at all. I've coached youth women's sports. Sports is good for everyone. But the thing is you're comparing apples to oranges when it comes to them playing, because if they were to get paid the same, or you're to compare them, you need to have comparable numbers. But there are two things that definitely need to be brought up that go against it. So yeah, if for whatever reason the women are bringing in whatever percentage compared to the men, the women bring in for revenue through ticket sales, merchandising, promotions, that they can have. So like promotions they can do inside the stadium or whatever. It's similar to how like all other professional sports work. They should definitely be paid that percentage, and if that percentage is higher, if they bring in 120% what the men do, then they should be paid 120% what the men get paid. Like I'm 100% in agreement with that, but you need to prove that point. You can't just say, well, we get equal, because you don't. You don't play the same intensity of game. Women's soccer is not as intense as men's soccer. You're playing on the same size field, yes, but you're also playing a less intense version of it. And if more people are just interested in men's soccer, oh well. That'd be like if baseball wasn't as popular as football, but San Francisco, the Giants wanted to get paid more than the Niners. Well, if the Niners are bringing in more money, you're not going to get paid more. The Niners are going to get paid more, not the Giants. It's a case by case basis. It's all based on merit, and it's based off of the numbers you bring in. You don't get paid more necessarily for. You should definitely get paid more for performing, of course. You go to the and it makes sense. If you go to the World Cup, that's going to be broadcast. You definitely deserve some of that revenue. You're going to get revenue for people buying jerseys and T-shirts and flags and posters and all that stuff. So you definitely deserve a bonus for that. 100% agree, because you busted your ass and you earned that World Cup spot, and that is going to generate more revenue. So I 100% agree. If they didn't get anything for that, they should definitely sue and get compensated for every ounce of exceptionalism they've done. But to compare yourself to the men thing, you gotta be careful with that, because they're two different leagues. They're two different things. In a way, it's kind of comparing minor league to major league. Not saying that's what it is, but that's kind of what it is. Anyway, there are some other things too. The big thing is about work conditions. Now, this one was strange because this part right here, if you can see, kind of makes me think that it's a bit weird, because natural grass, to me, I always thought that AstroTurf would be better. I mean, I played American football, gridiron football, and it always just seemed crazy, because AstroTurf usually means it's a better field. If they're going to invest in AstroTurf and make it look nice, usually that means that it's a nicer field. Soccer, a grass field usually is more fucked up. Usually it's going to be less even. You don't have control over it being as even. A lot of times it'll have... I played on grass. When you have rain games, it's mud and slippery. A lot of times if you get AstroTurf, they also put in some sort of weather control dome. So, to me, saying that they played more domestic matches, which I'm like, that's nice. You get to play more home games. You have home field advantage. You don't have to travel as much. You don't have to spend money eating as much. You would think that would be good. And then on AstroTurf, more on artificial surfaces. So AstroTurf, you're not playing on cement. You're playing on AstroTurf, which is nice. I don't quite get how that's a bad thing compared to what the men had to do. And that's the thing, the men are playing a more difficult game if they're playing on grass. They're going to be playing in mud games that are colder, that are harder, more likely for injuries, things like that. So that's kind of where I disagree with them there. But I do understand that it's like, well, maybe we should have done that. But this one makes them think, okay, well, this sounds like you're actually getting the better end of the deal. And if they're willing to say, hey, they pampered us, we don't want to be pampered. We want, to do that. Because, that's where you got to look at it there. Arrange for natural grass to be installed temporarily over artificial surfaces. You can't. That's really difficult to do. Why would you do that? Maybe I don't understand soccer. Maybe it's not the same. Maybe because it was more expensive. And also it just depends on the place. If you're going to a match and you want to install that and they won't agree to it, there's more to it than just like, oh, well, they didn't install it. Did the away field agree to it? So this part too about, well, they didn't install ever. And they have complete control over commercial flights. Now this one I agree with. Charter commercial flight provided physical comfort. I guess they gave them 17 commercial flights for the men in 2017. Let's take a look. Where was it? 2014. Okay, where there was none for the women. So it's like, okay, I kind of understand that the men are getting more, and maybe that is a bit unfair, But at the same time, it's kind of the same thing of, well, who gets paid more, and then too, if the men make more money, maybe the men chipped in too. You got to take a look at that. You need receipts and everything else. Timing and promotions, and this is where I also agree. The promotions part is big. You need to promote it. Now, obviously, if the men's is makes more money, you need to promote that more. But you should at least promote it about the same, and maybe offer a bit more promotion. Now, the women's teams can promote too, but yeah, if they do completely nothing for the women, you need to prove how undermarketed it is. So take a look at the revenue and the pay, and see how it goes. Now, I'm pretty sure that when you guys went to the World Cup, they probably promoted the shit out of that because you're going to get a lot of money. They're going to promote based on how much money they earn. They're not just going to discriminate against you because you're women. They're going to discriminate against you because you don't bring in money. That's how it works. And that's the thing that kind of pisses me off about this, is they're trying to say it's all about sexism when it's not at all in the slightest. What it's really about is money. And this is where you can kind of sniff out where the problems are. Find where the money making is, find where the money's going, and that's where you're going to find where the actual problems lie. Now again, they very well could have been fucking them over with the fields part and promotional part, and I'm 100% on the side of the women's team if that's what's going on. You definitely deserve to have equally kept up facilities, equally kept up locker rooms, training facilities, uniforms, all that jazz. 100% agree. Because you're both professionals and you should look and feel that way. The charter flights, there's a little bit more that needs to go in there, but yeah, if it ends up being that you use charter flights for the men but not the women, that's also a bit discriminatory. You should use them for both. Especially, I would just honestly buy an airline and use it. And then when it comes to promotion, you should at least promote equivalent to the revenue, and maybe a little more depending on the record. If the men's just got a shit record this year, but the women are kicking ass, they've only lost one, or they're undefeated, or they're on the way to the playoffs, definitely should be promoting them more. But the thing is, these people already know this. They're corporate managers, but they're in it to make money. So they're going to usually make smart decisions. If they're not, then they do deserve to be punished, and they also would have lost money, and they deserve that. But it's something you got to really think about more than just, oh, well, they're women and they make less, but they both play the same sport. No. Women's soccer and men's soccer are not the same. If they were, it wouldn't be women's and men's soccer. It'd just be soccer. But for the most part, it'd be men on the team. Because the men would be more physical, they'd be faster, they'd be stronger, they'd be quicker, they'd be able to play longer in the game, because men last longer physically. What does that mean? Men can play sports aggressively, typically into the age of 30 or 35. Women, not so much. Some can, they're badasses. But men just biologically have that ability. Women start to lose their strength and muscle mass a bit earlier. It's okay, it's normal, it's how it works. Doesn't mean anything less, doesn't make you any less of a person, it's just how it goes. So you need to understand that, and women just don't play as aggressive as men usually. Some women do, but not always. It's just, you imagine, just on accidentally going for a kick, and a man does a hard kick into a woman's shin. That shin's gonna fucking shatter. Like, it shatters men's shins. Imagine what's gonna happen to the woman. It's just like, you gotta consider that. They're apples to oranges. And again, it's the revenue part. Typically more men watch sports than women. They're gonna watch men's sports. So if the men's sports are getting more views, and again, it needs to be proportional. If men are bringing in, if women are only bringing in about 33 to 38% of the same amount of money as the men, well, then you're getting paid what you deserve. If the women are bringing in more, they're bringing in 50% or 70%, and they deserve to make that much. I 100% agree and support the women's team in that. I hope that when everything comes out, whatever wrongs they've had are rectified. But just know, if it ends up being that no foul, then no foul. Shut the fuck up. I've been your logical libertarian. Thanks for watching. Remember, use your head.